Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're breaking down a really cool research paper that puts two types of AI in a head-to-head battle to do something incredibly difficult: forecast the stock price of Apple, one of the biggest companies in the world. Okay, just look at this chart. It's the story of Apple's stock price, and it's a wild ride of unbelievable growth. But that crazy exponential curve also represents a massive challenge for anyone trying to guess what's going to happen next. And that really gets to the heart of the problem here. Predicting stock prices is just so tough because they move in these super complex, irregular patterns. Your classic old school forecasting methods, they really struggle to keep up with that kind of chaos. So, a team of researchers from Universitas Padjadjaran in Indonesia decided to see if they could do better. They grabbed 43 years of monthly Apple stock data and basically asked, could a special kind of AI finally make some sense of it all? The tool they picked for this job wasn't just any old AI. Nope. They used a very specific and very powerful type of neural network called a long short-term memory network, or for short, an LSTM. So what's the big deal with LSTMs? Well, the easiest way to think about it is that they have a memory. Unlike other models that just look at one piece of data at a time, LSTMs can actually spot patterns over long stretches of time. They use these clever little things called gates to decide what information is important to keep and what's just noise it can forget. And for something like the stock market, where what happened yesterday totally affects what happens today, well, that memory is an absolute game changer. But here's where it gets really interesting. Not all LSTMs are built the same. So the researchers didn't just test one model, they actually set up a showdown between two different versions of this AI to see which one could really get a handle on Apple's history. So let's meet our contenders in this AI face-off. In one corner, you've got the stateless LSTM, and in the other corner, the stateful LSTM. And I love this analogy for explaining the difference. The stateless model is called the amnesiac. It looks at a little bit of data, makes a guess, and then boom, it completely wipes its memory clean. It's starting fresh every single time. The stateful model, though, is the storyteller. It actually remembers what happened in the last chapter and carries that context forward, building one continuous story. So the million-dollar question is, which one of these approaches actually works better for something as messy as the stock market? The researchers put both to the test. They trained them on decades of data and then told them, okay, predict Apple's monthly stock price for the entire year of 2023. All right, so after this big AI showdown, who actually came out on top? Let's get to the results. And wow, the results were not subtle at all. You can just see it on this graph. The green line, that's the stateful storyteller model. Its prediction is practically hugging the black line, which is the actual stock price. The other prediction from the stateless model, well, it's way off. And the numbers totally back this up. This table shows a couple of key error scores. Basically, they measure how far off the prediction was from reality. And for both of these, a lower number is way, way better. As you can see, the stateful model won by a landslide. Its predictions were just significantly more accurate. So, why did the storyteller win so decisively? It all comes down to a fancy term called temporal autocorrelation. All that really means is that in the stock market, the past is super connected to the future. And because the stateful model had that memory, it was just way better at understanding that ongoing story. So, of course, after you've got a winning model, what do? You ask it to predict the future, right? So, what did the stateful AI think was going to happen to Apple's stock in 2024? Well, based on every single pattern it learned from the last 43 years, the model projected a pretty consistent upward trend for the whole year. It's a fascinating look at what the data alone suggests might happen. But, and you knew there was a but coming, and it is a big one, before anyone gets any bright ideas, the researchers themselves put out a major warning. They're making it crystal clear. This prediction is based only on the past. The real world has a way of throwing curveballs that no historical data can predict. So what's the bottom line here? First, when it comes to problems like this, and AI's memory is everything. Second, a seemingly small choice in how you build an AI can make a gigantic difference in the results. Third, and this is probably the most important part, even the best AI forecast is not a crystal ball. It's just a really, really smart analysis of what's already happened. And that really shows us both the amazing power and the very real limits of AI today. And all of this leaves us with one final, really important question to think about. As these AI tools get scarily good at finding patterns in the past, how do we decide how much we should trust them to predict a future that's always uncertain?